Welcome to Movies Redux. Today I'm going to explain a movie called Men in Hope that is about a father who teaches his son-in-law about the perks of cheating, but things take unexpected turns in their lives. Trust me, you don't want to miss this one. The movie starts with Andre when he is returning home after buying birthday gifts for his son, Pavlik. He patiently waits for his father-in-law, Rudolph, who happens to be a taxi owner, to give him a ride. If there was a contest for the world's best father-in-law, mine would be the reigning champion. He gently reminds him they must hurry, knowing his wife Alice might be upset if they're late. He inquires about Rudolph's whereabouts, and Rudolph informs him that he is currently with one of his companions, who is unwell and receiving medical care at the hospital. He requests Andre to deceive his wife by pretending they are together, but Andre questions why he is being unfaithful to his spouse. Andre adamantly affirms that he resides with his beloved wife, Alice, and vows to remain faithful to her without wavering. Upon entering the house, Alice inquires about Andre's tardiness. He attempts to communicate with her, but she refuses to listen. Meanwhile, as Rudolph catches sight of his wife and Alice's mother, Marta, she warmly embraces him and inquires about his tardiness. Rudolph informs Marta that he is currently at the hospital, attending to one of his companions who is unwell. Marta chuckles and glances at the stick with Rudolph, mentioning to Alice that the guys were playing pool. Later that evening, following Pavlik's birthday celebration, Rudolph and Marta retreat to their room with great intensity, unknowingly catching Pavlik's attention. After tucking Pavlik into bed, Andre meets up with Alice and inquires about the peculiar behavior of her parents, who seem to be acting like infatuated teenagers. According to her, the reason is their deep affection for one another. That night, Andre and Alice have a personal encounter that Andre finds unsatisfying. Unfortunately, he also ends up hurting his neck in the process. The next day, Andre and Rudolph got out for a picnic with their families. While discussing the situation, they notice a girl attempting to take Pavlik's scooter and persistently pushing him away. Rudolph firmly reminds Pavlik to retrieve his scooter, emphasizing that it belongs to him. During their journey back, Andre opens up to Rudolph about his impending back problems caused by excessive physical activity, while Alice remains determined in her quest to have children. He inquires about Rudolph's secret to maintaining intimacy with Marta despite their long-term marriage, to which Rudolph responds that he last saw Marta's form 2 decades ago. Whenever he spots an attractive woman, he memorizes her appearance and recalls it when he wants to be intimate with Marta. Visualizing this image with closed eyes helps him feel more at ease. Andre meets his wife at their restaurant and expresses his dissatisfaction with Alice about the cook's performance. However, Alice defends the cook, mentioning that he received training in France and is highly skilled. When a customer arrives, the server attends to them. On Friday, he heads to the bar where he will be playing with Rudolph. However, when Rudolph notices him, he inquires about his intentions. A lovely young girl, Sarlota, approaches during their conversation, and Rudolph introduces Andre to her. She wonders if Andre is someone who has a nearly fractured spine. Andre says that Sarlota is nearly the same age as his daughter, Alice. However, Rudolph clarifies that Sarlota is not Alice. Andre questions whether Rudolph is suggesting he should betray his daughter, to which Rudolph clarifies that his intention is solely to save his marriage. Andre strongly insists on spending the night with Rudolph. So he watches as Rudolph plays with Sarlota. As she's playing, she mentions that her hair is bothering her. She takes off her pants and uses them to tie up her hair. Next, she gracefully maneuvers around the boys to join the ball game. After their playtime, Rudolph kindly asks Sarlota if she wants to go for a ride while gently insisting that Andre should head back home. Andre arrives home in the rain and informs Alice that her father has made another commitment. He informs her that he is experiencing a fever and reaches for an object on the table to measure his temperature. However, she quickly corrects him, revealing that it is a pregnancy test. Despite her hopes, The test still shows a negative result. Upon arrival, they were informed that the clinic would close in a few minutes. The woman at the front desk advises him to hurry up before time runs out. He attempts to go there, but unfortunately, he encounters some difficulties. He hands her a bottle with nothing inside, which infuriates her and prompts her to storm out and head to the restaurant. Later that day, Charlotta decides to visit the restaurant, where Andre is ready to prepare a delicious meal for her. Later, they visit her place and share a close and personal moment. Later, he rushes back home, and when Alice questions him about his tardiness, he explains that he had encountered one of his fellow students along the way. She detects a distinct fragrance on his suit and decides to address the issue directly, and she discovers Charlotta's underwear in his suit. He adamantly denies any involvement with Charlotta and insists that it's Rudolph. Alice informs her mother about Rudolph being sent away from home. Alice refuses to let Rudolph stay in her house, so he remains outdoors. Andre meets and becomes frustrated with him while Marta delivers his medication to Alice. She confronts Alice, revealing her knowledge of his infidelity and suggesting that Charlotta is just one of many women he has been involved with. She insists she cannot end their marriage because she deeply loves him. She also mentions that the infidelity has had a positive effect on her marriage, such as her husband buying her a gift as a way to apologize. She insists on getting a Valentino bag. The next day, Rudolph goes to Charlotta and retrieves his pants from her. She inquires about the state of Andre's marriage, but he assures her there is no cause for concern. He exchanges the pants and purchases a Valentino bag for Marta. He places it on her farm and patiently awaits Marta's arrival. After stumbling upon the bag, she joyfully makes her way back home. Tragically, as she is on the verge of crossing the street, a car collides with her, resulting in her immediate passing. Rudolph retrieves her bag and grieves over her untimely demise. After the burial, he chooses to stay indoors for several days. Alice reaches out to him while he's busy ironing his clothes. Regrettably, he places the iron on his face and ends up with a burn. She arrives to look after him and notices that he has been consuming alcohol. She encourages him to feel better and contacts his friends. Meanwhile, Andre continues to spend time with Charlotta and grows closer to her. One day, he brings a little cup to her house and deposits the sperm inside. Alice brings it to the doctor, who informs her that Andre is currently active. Afterward, he shares a close moment with Charlotta in the car again, but unfortunately, the car loses control and collides with a tree. Upon arriving home, Alice inquires about his injury, and he deceitfully responds to her, as he typically does. His newfound enthusiasm for work is particularly evident at their restaurant. He visits the restaurant, and they begin to welcome customers once more. One day, he decides to engage in an intimate encounter with Charlotta without taking the necessary precautions. While working at the restaurant, his mind drifts to Charlotta, only to be interrupted by Alice passing by. He forcefully pulls her close and becomes intimate with her at that moment. Alice shares with Rudolph the transformation she has witnessed in her husband. However, Rudolph is well aware of his infidelity towards Alice. He converses with Andre and is offered guidance on being faithful to his spouse. Afterwards, Charlotta reaches out to Andre and he agrees to meet up with her. Meanwhile, Alice tells her father about her intention to surprise Andre's friend with a gift. During a festive event, he purchases a beautiful gown for Alice, which includes a unique detail from Charlotta's bra cup. Later, Charlotta meets up with Alice and requests a job as a maid. She hires her and requests that she begin living with Rudolph. On a particular day, Andre informs Alice that he will be engaging in a game of tennis. However, instead of meeting Alice, he unexpectedly encounters Charlotta at Rudolph's residence. He approaches her and inquires about her motivation for seeking the job. She expresses her desire to be with him and deep affection for him. She boldly opens the door, fully aware of Alice's presence, and engages in an intimate encounter with him. In addition, she insists that he answer Alice's phone call as well. Meanwhile, Rudolph visits Marta's grave and notices a peculiar tulip. Upon arriving home, Andre enthusiastically bursts out of his house. He discovers that Marta has been unfaithful and decides to scatter her ashes. Andre approaches him and calmly reveals that he, too, was involved in deceitful behavior. He advises the person not to become angry, but rather to consider the empathy he felt towards Marta. He sets out on a mission to track down the individual connected to Marta. Alice spots Andre and enthusiastically pulls him indoors, sparking a tinge of envy in Sarlota. Rudolph eventually locates the man and discovers that he is blind. It becomes clear that Marta would see him because she desired a partner who truly praised her. He consumes an excessive amount of alcohol, discovering this while Andre also decides to reconcile with his spouse. The next day, their cook romantically embraces Alice, suggesting that she is being unfaithful. She informs him that her feelings have changed, and she is no longer interested in pursuing a relationship with him. She happens to hear Andre making a reservation at a restaurant. So she chooses to visit the location while Andre meets Sarlota to end their relationship. Alice also arrives, and Sarlota beckons her to their table. Andre crouches beneath the table, eavesdropping on Sarlota and Alice's conversation. Sarlota excitedly shares the news with Alice that she is expecting a baby. Upon hearing the sound, Andre quickly makes his getaway and spots Rudolph. During the reception, Rudolph gently reminds him of their previous conversation about ending the relationship. Rudolph bravely takes responsibility for the child in a surprising turn of events. He witnesses Sarlota confronting Alice, claiming to be the father of her unborn child. He causes Sarlota to feel embarrassed about her desire to end Andre's marriage. Later at home, Ace and Andre share a private moment, and the movie ends here. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more recaps. Your support means the world to me. Feel free to drop any comments or suggestions below. Until next time, take care and stay awesome.